Hey everybody, this is AG here. Yeah, I wanted to do a video talking about my thoughts on E3 this year. Um, got the notes over there. The camera's placed a little weird because there's nothing to like set it on top of for right now. Um, there we go. That works. So we're gonna go in order of the conferences, and I'm gonna give my opinion of it as I eat vegetables because I've been eating too much junk food. So, try to think. Where to really start when it comes to my anticipations for this conference? Um, I'm gonna have to say that like when it came down to everything I was expecting this year, most people were expecting it to be boring, and that is kind of what they got. The problem is when you just lump it all as boring, where it's like, it's not really the fact that nothing went on, it's the fact that without Sony there, there was a lot less games shown off. Like, even in my list, like, um, usually, like, the non-console ones had basically just like a single game to even remark on. Um, I could probably stretch out the two for each one. I'm mostly gonna be talking about like one each conference, moving over one from Nintendo into Square Enix because I believe it's more better talked about there. But yeah, so like starting off, EA. I basically disqualified it because it wasn't really a conference. Even though it did start at the same time, basically what they were doing is that they were basically doing a almost like an audience a for the audience keynote in which they're like, we're gonna show off a game and then we're gonna like uh have a break and then like come back to it in like about a few minutes and like talk about another one. It was more of what you would expect from Nintendo, actually. And it was weird because EA didn't have anything to show off. Like they literally started off with saying, "Man, look at all these Madden and FIFA fans," and they cheered. And I was like, "Yep, I can see why they put. I could see why they put Star Wars front and center on that one, so that people could like watch Star Wars and then leave." So I disqualified it. It feels like, oh, got a tomato seed stuck in my teeth. Um, so yeah, I disqualified it. Xbox then went up the next day. I'm gonna go in order of not like the ones that um not in like actual chronological order, but the one that first came to mind, which I feel is a little bit better when talking about it because there are some games that I actually forgot was shown off because of how overpowering the other games were. Cyberpunk is probably my most anticipated game of next year, and that is literally because I want to see that this would be the game that they're going to show off how powerful this console is, show off how powerful the next console generation is, and try to like show like how much different all of that is. Um, I know I basically repeated myself a few times, but Cyberpunk feels like that game that they're gonna keep showing off for the next like 2 years, of like, this is how good our game is. Not how good the game is, how good our console is, because that feels like it's gonna be the game to show off. Kind of like how Crisis 2 was basically shown off of like how good can a computer run effectively. Um, the next one that immediately came to mind was the fact that Phantasy Star Online 2 is finally coming to America. That is nice. like I was like I was like, this game's already out. I was like, at least I thought. And then, like, I heard someone say it's been 7 years, and I was like, oh, it has been a while. I was like, it's been since 2012 they announced it, and it was only in Japan, which made a lot of people upset, especially people who were fans of the original Phantasy Star Online on the Dreamcast and GameCube. So that, yeah, let's just say it's been a while since people got to get a new one of the series. Um, Spiritfarer looks like a cool game. It's a bit indie, but with a lot of like, it feels like it's gonna be an emotional game, an emotional version of Animal Crossing, and that might be actually kind of cool. Bleeding Edge, which is the new game from Ninja Theory, is pretty cool. It's a melee it's a melee version of Overwatch, and it's kind of got this Borderlands type of vibe to it. All I remember, like, one of the people I was watching react to it. They basically said it's been a while since I saw something that has as good of character design as Overwatch, and I will agree. I feel like that it's been a while since they put a lot of heart into character designs in a game, and when it's a very class based game, it needs to be like that. Um, Psychonauts 2 is an interesting grab by Xbox. Let's see if it pans out well. Hopefully, there are like 10 levels, all with completely cool designs. That's that, like the first game, each of them are fun to play in their own way. Um, so yeah, let's see on that. The Blair Witch video game, I saw it start out, and in my head, I didn't think, oh, this looks like Outlast, or oh, this could be Amnesia, which it basically will probably be. At first, I thought it was a new Siren game, and I would have been really excited for a new Siren game, but it looks like that they decided that this is instead that this Blair Witch game is going to be more Outlast, and if that's true, I'm going to be kind of disappointed. Outlast, to me, isn't that fun of a game, but hey, that's just my opinion on that. Um, Elden Ring, the new From Software game. I had the notes somewhere, but it said that, like, um, George R. R. Martin, famous for the Song of Ice and Fire series, basically wrote the lore of the world and, like, certain characters in it, I think. But, like, most of the character designs are still heavily like Miyazaki. And I'm like, ooh, this is gonna get really cool. So hopefully they do that. And then Borderlands 3 got shown off a tiny, tiny little bit. Um, you have a punchy, you have the melee class, which is the Siren this time. You have you have the you have the mechanical supporter class, which creates like I think she goes into like a mech instead of the mech fighting alongside of her. So let's see if that's gonna work out well. You then have the stealth based class, which is it kind of looks like Doppelganger Jack from pre-sequel. It might be actually be the same character now that I think about it. I might play that one. I kind of enjoyed Doppelganger Jack in pre-sequel, the amount that I've played of him. And then, here's the funniest part. There's a Beastmaster character who is voiced by ProZD, which I'm like, the guy who makes the funny videos on Twitter? Yeah, the guy who makes the funny videos on Twitter. And I was like, that's going to be really interesting. He seems like he seems like the wild card character, and um like I feel like that's going to be kind of cool. Um, but again, I'm probably going to just play a doppelganger again. Um, Hopefully, he has some of the cool stuff that he probably won't have the same stuff as Doppelganger Jack, like the whole like Stacks of Anarchy thing, where it's like, or whatever it was called, for that particular one. Um, but like, hey, like, I'm kind of upset that the game's gonna take like an additional year to come out on Steam, but as long as the game is fun in the end, it should go pretty well. Um, Overall, I give Xbox a gold. Uh, really nice showing. Two things I didn't mention. Gears of War 5, they have this new mode that looks like it's a timed move through an obstacle course, or else you die of this poisonous gas. It might be kind of fun multiplayer type thing. Like me and my little brother like always played the Spec Ops mode in Modern Warfare 2. So like stuff that like it's the game, but it's not the game. Those type of modes are always really fun to me, where it's like we took the mechanics from the game and we applied them elsewhere to see what we can like branch off into. I thought that was kind of neat. Um, the other one I didn't really talk about was Forza. They have a new Lego mode, and I'm like, okay. It was like, here's a car here's a life size car we made out of 500,000 bricks, and I'm like, okay, calm down, guys. You can only throw your money around so hard. But that's all Xbox, and it's like there's so much to talk about, and they really tried to take E3 this year. Unfortunately, Nintendo beat them, but we're gonna need to get to that. It felt like two really good bookends when it comes to like um, ending it right and starting it right, and just like having actually kind of a mediocre sandwich between two really good pieces of bread. Um, Bethesda has. I'll talk about two games. It's first Doom Eternal still looks really cool. The other game that looks interesting. The only other game that looks interesting from the entire thing is like is the one that takes place in Tokyo when like the supernatural thing happens and like it all disappears. And I'm like, oh, who's making this? And it's the guy who made I think it's the guy who made Silent Hill. I could be wrong on that. But it's like, oh, that's cool. And then they have the this nice lady come out, and she's like, oh, she tries to act all cute, going like, I don't know Japanese that well, and people really liked her. Then I looked it up. She's the character designer of Bayonetta, and it's like, yeah, I could see that. Mill Management Bayonetta came out on stage, and she had fun, and that was basically Bethesda. Everything else was very lackluster. There wasn't too much shown off that was good, and the things that were good were tied to that were actually kind of nice were tied to things that were already kind of terrible. Like it's like, Commander Keen's coming back. Oh, okay, in a mobile game that doesn't actually resemble Commander Keen. Why even do it? And then it's like, oh hey, we're fixing Fallout 76, and it's like, I don't care. Just go on, make Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 already. Just do it. Just like knuckle down and just dive right into those games and try to do it instead of trying to put Fortnite in Fallout 76. Like, you can do better than that. And that's basically it. All the rest of it was basically just fluff. And just like, hey, we've got all this stuff, and it's like, I don't really care. I'm not gonna play those. No. There was another thing. Deathloop. Deathloop looks interesting, but until like but until the actual like gameplay comes out of it, for now, it is a one versus one multiplayer game in which you play as one of two people randomly, in which you've got to contend with a cool set of powers, trying to kill the other person, and when you kill that person, it resets the next match. That's probably what the game's gonna be. Like I'm not gonna put down money on it. That just seems like what it's gonna be. Until they say otherwise, because all they showed was a trailer and a cool concept. I disqualified PC this year. The reason why I disqualified PC this year is because I knew that. Okay, I gotta love with you. I didn't wake up in time to watch the PC conference, so I missed it. And it's like, did anything interesting get shown off? And I was like, Shenmue 3 finally got confirmation about something. I was like, oh, it's coming to Epic Game Store exclusively, and it's like, that's a bummer. It's like, is there anything else that came out during the PC conference? It's like, no. It's like, oh. I kind of felt the same way about the Devolver Digital conference. Like, they always try to make it like fun and energetic, but I'm like, I'm not really. I just want to know what games are out. Like, I get it. You guys are, you got your Adult Swim comedy. I haven't been a fan of that type of comedy in years. So like, just tell me which games are out. And it's like, and then I look on to the Switch, and it's like, oh, my friend Pedro is. The game My Friend Pedro is coming out soon. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, what's up with it? I was like, oh, this got a pre-order discount. It's like, okay, that's it. That's about it. And I was like, okay. So I disqualified both of them because I didn't really watch them. I only heard like the one or two bits of news from it. But then we get to Ubisoft. Besides Just Dance 2020 coming out on the Wii, of all things, there wasn't too much going on at all in the rest of it. Another, kind of like Bethesda, it's kind of boring. It was mostly just like, hey, look at our new Tom Clancy stuff. And it's like, okay, I've never played a Tom Clancy game. I don't really care. So I just like skipped. I like basically zoned out and like skipped through most of that. The only thing that really was interesting to me was Watch Dogs 3. I was a big fan of the first Watch Dogs game, even after it like came out, and it turned out that like the E3 press conference, when it was shown off at E3, it was the best it could possibly look. And at first I'm like, that's kind of annoying. But then like I really thought about it and I went, no, the game had some character to it. It wasn't just a Grand Theft Auto clone. It was something new. It was something better. And I then really thought about it when the second game came out, and I'm like, I'm not too much of a fan of the, I didn't really like play the second one. I played the first one a little bit, but never really like stuck my head into the second one. The third one looks interesting because they say the incredibly bold claim that any NPC from the entire world can be playable with their own story missions, with their own like dialogue and like all that type of stuff. And my first thought is, okay, so they probably had 100 voice actors, each of which were told to play different archetypes and different types of character with like different like character sets. Like at most, let's just say 6 classes. That makes about 600 voices. And when England has about 55 million, I could be wrong on that number, but it's like it's a 5 million. It's either 5 or 55. Yeah, it's kind of a large difference, but it's like I haven't looked up that number in a while. But I'm like sitting there going, okay, they show a police officer. Maybe you can recruit like a new recruit into the police force, and like go into it and like sabotage some stuff, probably grab the chief of the police for the team as well, and like have and do something like that. That could be really cool. Like instead of trying to like cause a bunch of chaos and like blow some stuff up, maybe you could do like political subterfuge to like slowly work your way up the ranks. That could be cool. And like I'm not even like some people were like kind of dreading it because like it's like oh we don't like politics in video games, but it's like along with this and Vampire the Masquerade, they're like no, our game's political because our series has always been political. And I'm like, well, as long as you are true to yourself, you are fine. It's like as long as you are like straight up like this is a political game for it's a very libertarian sort of game where it's like the authority is always wrong type games. I could be okay with that. Like as long as they don't go too overboard, they should be fine. Um but and that's basically it. Like Ubisoft basically they didn't have an Assassin's Creed to show off. Instead it kind of feels like that the group that the part of the company that was supposed to do Assassin's Creed instead said no, we really liked the Greek aesthetic. We want to make another game in the Greek style. And so they so they got an art style they liked, and they're currently making a game something generic like actually I think it is Gods and Monsters. And it's like that sounds really generic and the gameplay looks really generic. And I sit there and go, when is the other generic game coming out? Skull and Bones? It's like that was shown off like 2 years ago. Like where is it? Moving on. Sony is disqualified because they did not show up at all, which makes me kind of sad because I actually had money down on Sony crashing the party. I thought that like Phil Spencer from Xbox was going to be standing there on stage, and then like the screen would like show like blue and red and like Miyamoto and like and or like someone big in Nintendo like Doug Bowser, the new guy. And they could have brought in Koizumi, but most likely Doug Bowser because he's going to be speaking on stage, so he needed someone who knew fluent English. Came out on stage. You have the guy from Sony come out, and they're all standing there going, "We are teaming up to make a new console." Like I was honestly expecting that. That was kind of a long shot, but hey, like, oh well. Square Enix had their press conference, which basically was them going, we have Dragon Quest XI S. Hopefully people play it on Switch because it's really cool. And I'm like, sure, I'll probably play it on Switch. And Square Enix also had Final Fantasy VII Remake. I might get it. Let's hope it keeps the original charm as the original game. Like, I've said several times to people that every Final Fantasy game after 6 has fundamental problems with it that makes it hard to enjoy. In Final Fantasy VII, it's the story. And like you could go like, the story's classic. It's like, no. Character moments are classic. Like people do not remember plot points. They remember I liked the way that Cloud and Aerith like interacted with each other. I was like, could you actually in your head remember what the story with Red was it Red 7 or Red 13? I can't remember his actual name. The lion dog thing. You don't remember that. You remember him becoming a party member and you going, "Cool, I've got a biologically I got a biologically altered like dog thing on my team. This is cool." You don't remember the story of Vincent. You just remember that he was the cool vampire guy on the team. And I was like, it feels kind of like Chrono Trigger, where it's like all of these random characters coming together for a common purpose. Like, you don't remember the story. You just remember, hey, Sephiroth's the bad guy. Gotta go fight him. I guess Sephiroth was actually like not really there, and it was actually supposed to be his mom who was controlling him through his DNA. And it was like sort of like spoil the story for you, but it's like it's kind of, I don't want to say not good, but I am gonna say that the story was kind of, it needed work, and it looks like that they're gonna be like doing more like PTSD things with Cloud, because that was heavily implied in the story, especially in Crisis Core, but not really utilized. And I'm at least happy that Cloud um is actually like participating in banter, like throwing jokes back and forth. It was like how do we I was like, I thought you knew this. It's like, well, what's your opinion, genius? And they're just yelling at each other as they're like trying to take down the crab monster. It was like, yes, we don't have mopey Cloud anymore. I mean, he was fun in he was kind of fun as a character in Kingdom Hearts, because that kind of links in with the story of Kingdom Hearts itself. But I felt like that they should have gone back and like made it so that Cloud wasn't as mopey. Like he only gets that way and like really at the end when it's like, I was like, these characters died and like I'm sad. I'm stuck in a wheelchair. Can't do anything. I'm stuck in a wheelchair. But yeah, that was basically what Square Enix had to offer. I'm gonna need to see more of the Avengers game until people are able to get their hands on it and play more of the game than just the beginning section. Like, is there a character creator? Are you literally just playing characters? How's that gonna work online? How is this all supposed to be like this, almost like a Destiny style, like open world, like open world, a pseudo MMO? And I was like, how is this supposed to work, guys? It's like all of these like live service is the correct way to put it. It's like it's supposed to be like a persistent online thing, where it's like you go in, you play with your friends, and do all that. It's like okay, let's just see how this goes. Finally, we get to Nintendo. I forgot. Let's give Bethesda and Ubisoft bronze. Let's give Square Enix like a silver. Nintendo. I'm gonna say this right now. Let's start off with Zelda. They showed off 3 Zelda games, 2 of which we already knew. Cadence of Hyrule comes out today as of recording this, and tomorrow as of recording this. And I was like thinking about that. I was like, wait, it was yesterday. And I'm like, it's like, okay, that's cool. And then I was like, here's Link's Awakening. There's gonna be a dungeon creator. It looks like that it's very limited to the heart-shaped pattern on it, but hopefully there's like other designs that you can like get throughout. Maybe not throughout the game, maybe later on as like DLC or something. I'm not saying that they need to put that into the game as DLC, but like maybe like spruce it up with like different designs every once in a while. Like maybe like you are forced to use like this ring pattern where it's like it has to go in like this circle that's like 3 wide like that, and it's like that could be kind of interesting. They showed off 2 collections, the collection of mana and the Contra collections. Both of which like dropping the day of was kind of neat. Those are always a plus. The games that they showed off don't really intrigue me, let's just say, but at least it's nice for those to come to the system. Luigi's Mansion 3. I love the first, and I skipped the second because it didn't look too interesting, but I might really like the third. And people are saying that it feels like 2 while playing like 1, and I gotta just give it to them. Pokemon was shown off a few days before. We did a video immediately afterwards, like But my thoughts on the direct that happened, looks like there's going to be some interesting stuff that they're adding to the game. Hopefully it stands out. I might do an additional video just talking about everything they released with Pokemon. But E3 is not over yet. There could still be more announcements. Again, as of the recording of this video, so like we won't know the full details until like maybe like a few weeks from now. Oh, the third Zelda game. Cadence of Hyrule comes out. I talked about that one. Link's Awakening looked really cool. Hopefully, it's cool. Breath of the Wild 2, though, was a surprise. There's currently some theories going around that Ganondorf was the original hero that helped defeat the beast, and the reason why he can't make human form is because his body is still being used for the vessel, which is why he was down there basically speared against a rock. I'm like, that could be kind of cool. The other one is that the green mystical stuff grabs Link's hand as it's like sticking out, and I'm like, huh, yeah, he might lose that hand. And it's like in some old concept art for Breath of the Wild, he actually was missing his hand. So let's see where they go with this. At worst, he gets a character. He loses an arm, and it like changes up like his character design a little bit. Maybe his play style. Maybe he's only able to hold like one weapon at a time, and it's the Master Sword. Or maybe he just gets knocked out of the game, and then you have to play as Zelda the whole time, which could be kind of cool. At best, he gets a cool mystical green jade hand, and he starts doing double trigger combos from DMC. Best case scenario. So Smash Brothers. I've been a big fan of Smash Brothers for years. And ever since Melee, people have been asking, on the Japanese side, people have been asking for any sort of thing Dragon Quest. In America, they've been asking for anything Banjo-Kazooie. Both of which were satisfied that day by releasing two characters, which I called in a prediction. Which I wish I had uploaded. But hey, we got two cool characters. The hero from Dragon Quest is going to be utilizing some of the more popular characters from the series. It's like alternative skins, kind of like Bowser Jr. Banjo-Kazooie, though, he looks interesting. Hopefully people can get their hands on him and see what he's about. Dragon Quest look like he's going to be really involved. Kind of like a more technical version of the Xenoblade Minato arts, but it looks like that you press a button and then scrolls through his magic, and then he could use that magic accordingly. I mean, hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not B that down B is to change what spell it is, and then you use forward B or a neutral B to send out the magic. Probably forward B. Hopefully it doesn't work like that, because might get a little weird. Maybe it's hold down B and then you start slowly scrolling through it, and then you release it, and it does that magic. Him having a mana bar, that's kind of cool. He kind of still he's gonna resemble Link a lot because of the shield. It looked like that some of his normal attacks looked really Link, but that's not really too big of a deal, honestly. Gonna give Nintendo a gold for the entire press conference. If I'm gonna have to pick a winner and a loser, Nintendo gets platinum and EA gets stone because they had the capacity to make a good conference or even have a conference, and they decided not to and chicken out. So they are the losers for this E3. People are like, no, Bethesda was boring. I was like, oh, but EA decided that they weren't going to do one and just ignore it altogether. So that's it for today. Probably going to upload this right after clicking off. So see you guys next time. Goodbye.